Hi everyone, Joy here at the Gardener Center. So last week I took a field trip down to one of our growers in Long Island, which to me is pretty much the equivalent of going to Disneyland. I mean, how can it's just so wonderful to see everything growing and all the beautiful varieties and the unique plants. So this week I thought I'd talk about a few of the unique ones I found while I was down there. I picked these plants because of their interesting growing patterns or the way they react to certain temperatures or lights or vibrations. So let's get started and talk about some cool plants. First, I'm going to start with the Mimosa Sensitive Plant. Some people also call it the shy plant. Some people call it the sleeping plant. It's native to the South and Central Americas, and the reason why they call it the sensitive plant is because when you touch it, it goes to sleep. And this reaction is actually called seismonasty, and it's like the little plant nervous system inside their little nervous system can sense a difference, a vibration in temperature, in light, and they do this as a defense mechanism. So to protect themselves from predators or overheat or light sensitivity, but seismonasty is what it's called. It's the same thing that Venus flytraps do actually when they catch their prey, except they do it for reasons, for carnivorous reasons. These guys do it to protect themselves. Funny little story, I actually had a customer come in and she's from Colombia and she remembers as a little girl running through fields of these because out there, or over there, they grow wild. They're actually a creeping, flowering perennial. And when she was little, she used to run through the little mounds and fields and run her hands all over it, and they would all just go to sleep. So I thought that was a pretty cool story to share with somebody. That's what I love about houseplants. They just bring back memories, or they have sentimental value for some people, and it's pretty awesome. So I started with them first, because what's going to happen now is when we get to the end of our video, they're going to perk back up. Okay. So now let's go on to one of my new favorites. This is Philodendron Goldii. I'm obsessed with these right now. And the reason why I'm obsessed with these is because of their just cool growing pattern. As they mature, they will get larger, almost like a Salome, kind of Philodendron Salome. They kind of grow in that kind of pattern. When they mature, they'll get thick, hard trunks on them, like woody trunks. But it's their leaf structure. And they grow out, I don't know if you can see, we'll show in a close-up later. Their new leaf grows from an existing leaf. Doesn't come out the center of the plant, doesn't grow from the stem of the plant. It's a new leaf, grows from an existing leaf, and it just keeps doing this spiral pattern. So eventually it's going to turn into a big hoop, almost like a halo. And honestly, super cool and easy to take care of. Just like any other philodendron, moderate to bright, indirect light. They can err on the drier side in between waterings. So it's not, even though it looks unique and not, it's super easy to take care of. Okay, now let's move on to, oh yes, I'm excited about this one. I saw this one down there and I had to have it. Cattleya Navicularis. Whew, that's a mouthful. In the Tradescantia family. Callisia is actually cousin of Tradescantia. As you can, some of you will be able to tell that it looks very Tradescantia-ish. Now the interesting thing about this guy is, depending upon what light situation you put it in, it grows completely different. which is just wild to me. So if you have a moderate to low light, what you'll see happening is the leaves will start to turn a darker, more shinier, darker green. And the spacing between new leaf growth will be 1 to 2 to maybe even 3 inches. So as you can see here, this guy's been in a little lower light, so his spacing, he's starting to space out here. If you put it in more of a bright and direct area with even a little smattering of sun, it starts to turn this beautiful kind of purpley color, and the leaves literally grow like a chain almost on top of each other and really, really tight. The other cool thing about this little guy is it gets the most beautiful little purple flower, tiny little purple flower, but the flower only lasts for 1 day. Each flower only lasts for 1 day, which is really odd, but kind of cool. Very succulent-ish, so this would need a well-draining soil, preferably succulent or cactus soil. Let them go drier in between waterings. The more light it gets, the faster it'll dry out, so just keep your eye on that. I mean, if it goes completely dry in between, it's not going to freak out and go, oh my God, I can't handle this, and get all dramatic and faint. But just, I don't know, I find it cool that its growing pattern can completely change its look depending on what kind of light it gets. I'm loving this. I told you it's just like Disneyland for me. Last is Monstera Dubia. Now, also known as a shingle plant. If anybody is familiar, they call this a shingle plant. And as you can see, little piece of shingled wood here, little like kind of soft wood, which it's going to need to grow the way it's supposed to grow. It picks a houseplant out in the wild and it flattens itself. So it's very leaf flat. It just sticks on like that. So if you choose this plant, make sure you have either a piece of wood, flat piece of wood, soft wood, piece of bark from a tree. Even what if you find a nice piece of driftwood out on the beach, a nice thick piece of driftwood that it can climb up. And beautiful, beautiful variegation on this. I mean, silvery, bluish, pewter green. However, the reason why I picked this one to talk about is because as it matures in the wild, it can grow up to at least 10 to 12 feet tall. But as it grows and grows and grows, vines up, vines up, vines up, the leaves start to lose their variegation. They start to get larger, and they start to get splits and openings just like a deliciosa. So eventually, it'll look more like a Monstera delicioso than it will look like this little guy, which, hey, that's fine with me. It's again, super interesting to watch it emerge into this whole different other plant. Again, that's why I chose all 4 of these guys to talk about. She's a little more water needy, a little more bright to moderate light. Don't let her go completely dry in between waterings, moderately moist, and it'll be cool to watch her grow. But definitely she needs something to grow on. Can't stress that enough. Either a piece of bark or a piece of wood, or like I said, driftwood, moss pole, anything that she can climb and attach herself to. Now the video is over, and we're going to go back to our little sensitive plants who have popped back up and look beautiful. A little care on these guys is bright to moderate indirect light. Keep them consistently moist. They'll grow a little bit taller as they mature, and then eventually they'll start to fall over, because what they want to do in the wild, it's their nature to want to creep and climb. And forgot to mention that they will also in the summertime get a tiny purple, almost like poof flower, like a little Lorax flower, if you would, on them. But even their new growth is gorgeous, this limey green new growth coming out. So I really loved sharing all the new unique stuff that I got in. I also have some of the regular stuff too, so if you want to come down and take a look, and if you just want to touch a sensitive plant to see how it feels and what it does, come on down and we'll see you next week.